What's going on, yo? Welcome back to basketball. We not starting with a close-up today because I just moisturized my face and it looks weird on my camera, so y'all don't get a close-up of me right now. I might get a new camera soon. But anyway, we've got one bold prediction for every NBA team in March. We're coming down to the kind of the end of the season at this point. It's kind of the boring point in the NBA season, right? It's kind of that part where it's like, okay, if you're like in that play-in spot, you're kind of suffering like me as a Bulls fan, right? Where it's like, oh geez, like I kind of just wish we were tanking. We're not going to do anything in the playoffs. A lot of the playoff seeding feels kind of set at this point. We kind of know who's going to be really good and not. But there's a lot of things still up for grabs, and so I'm kind of curious to see like where Bleacher Report wants to take us in this article. They got Jason Tatum here at the front. Is that because we're saying they're going to win a championship? I guess that's not technically March, but I don't know. I'm curious to see nonetheless where this article takes us. But anyway, let's jump into things. The Atlanta Hawks, Onyeka Okongwu will let it fly. Is that because he's taking a lot of threes right now? Okongwu attempted 27 threes in November, his highest in any month of his career. Now a full-time starter for the Hawks, for a Hawks team that lost a bunch of people in Bogdanovich and DeAndre Hunter. The fifth-year center is going to blow that number away. I mean, I guess I feel like I haven't been like paying attention to like the lineups that Atlanta's been throwing out recently. Have they been playing him in positions outside of the five? Clint Capella removed from the first unit in favor of Okongwu. No, okay, they just did bench Capella. That's what I thought. They haven't been playing them together either. I didn't think so. So yeah, I guess you see, right? I mean, this season's in such a weird spot. Obviously, there's no Jalen Johnson, and they were sellers at the deadline. So yeah, I guess you see if Okongwu can be a floor spacer for you and a lob threat. Like, yeah, that increases his value quite a bit. We all know that he's pretty deadly from the mid-range, so maybe we start to see him extend it out a little bit. I don't know if that's an exciting thing necessarily for Hawks fans, but hey, why not? Why not? By the way, where are the Hawks going, man? This franchise, I don't know what it's doing at this point. I don't know what it's doing. The Boston Celtics, no one will have a better March record. So we're saying that the Celtics are kind of going to tighten it up and just really start to get going as they go for a playoff push. I could maybe see that. I don't know one way or another if that makes sense. Like, you look at guys like Jaylen Brown hasn't had the best shooting season. Drew Holiday's been, like, slumped a little bit. But, like, a lot of other guys in the team have been really good. I feel like Porzingis has been really nice lately. Like, Tatum's obviously Jason Tatum. We saw that game where, like, Tatum and Brown just had both, like, they combined for, like, 82 points or something like that the other day. Like, I look at Al Horford and I still see a solid contributor. Obviously, Peyton Pritchard and Hauser off the bench have been nice for them. Yeah, I don't know. This team could be the best NBA team at any point, so I can't say that this won't happen. I don't know if March is when they'll necessarily start to like rev things up a little bit, and I don't know. I'm curious. Maybe that loss to Cleveland kind of motivates them and says, hey, we really do need to be better because there's other contenders out there. Like that, Cleveland's looking good, man. They're looking really good. So I'll be curious to see. What is this? Last year, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Porzingis shared the floor for about 1,200 possessions. That's really not a ton. They were plus 12. The group has only been on the court together for about half as much time so far. Jesus. And it's minus 1.4 net rating. Who cares right now? Suggests some kinks need to be worked out. I just think guys have just kind of been going through the motions a bit this year. They're just kind of winning games when they can, and that's how it is. The Brooklyn Nets, Nick Claxton will lead the league in blocks for what? Through March? Who else could it be? It could be, because obviously Wemby's not playing at this point, so we need a new leader in blocks. I think guys like any of the Mavericks centers could be it, all three of them. That's Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, and Daniel Gafford. I could see them in there. Walker Kessler, obviously one. Brooke Lopez, Miles Turner. I mean, it could certainly be Claxton. Claxton's a very good defender. Nick Claxton's game winner against the Philadelphia 76ers produced the Brooklyn Nets' 7th win in 9 chances between January 29th and February 22nd. Okay, I'm confused why we're thinking hampering by one injury or another for much of the year and generally looking unlike his springy self. That's more than true. Claxton hasn't had the best 24-25, but he's quietly rounding into form as of late. Okay, I haven't really noticed much of a difference, but I'll take your word on it. Claxton is only averaging 1.5 blocks per game. That's still a solid number. Well below the SWAT rates he posted in the other seasons. He rejected blah, 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 blah in his 10-game run. Okay, so yeah, we're saying he's starting to get into pace a little bit. Can I just say, very happy with what the Brooklyn Nets did at the deadline. I know there were people that were like, hey, could have done something with Cam Johnson, could have done something with Nick Claxton. And I just think it's important to note that when these teams are rebuilding, or more so what they're doing, and they're tearing things down, there's a best practice for this, right? They're going to get one of the better players in the draft, hopefully, right? That's what they're hoping for. They get a Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, one of those guys, right? You bring him in, he's going to have some nice players around him. And look, is Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton going to be part of the championship group that Dylan Harper leads to the finals at some point? Not necessarily, but giving a rookie or a guy like that a nice landing pad. You guys hear me say that term all the time, landing pad, meaning he's got solid basketball players around him when he first gets there, and it's not just, I'm number one guy in the scouting report night one. I just think that leads to greater success down the line. It seems like the Nets are really doing a good job of establishing culture this year. That's why they're still winning games despite having a pretty bad roster overall. So I just think the Nets are doing things the right way. So we want to give them credit. The Charlotte Hornets, LaMelo Ball will be shut down. Yeah, no, you might as well. With all the injuries that he has, he's just not playing all that great right now. You know, it's funny. At the start of this year, I remember saying, and this is why it's important to be constantly reflecting and have different opinions, right? At the beginning of this year, I was like, man, LaMelo looks like so good. He just gets the game, and in a lot of ways he does, right? Like, he really does get basketball. Like, he just sees the game really well, and that hasn't changed. But I got a lot higher on LaMelo than I thought I ever would, and it's kind of just come back down. I don't know. I just can't take the dude seriously a ton at this point. I just don't feel like he's playing winning basketball. And look, he's a guy that's been playing a certain style his whole life. Obviously, we've gotten to see his whole life of basketball up to this point. I don't know, like the Hornets weren't helping him out early in his career and figuring out how to play winning basketball. It hasn't gone too much better this season. I'm still holding out hope that this new regime in Charlotte is gonna figure things out, but for the time being, it's not looking too great. So yeah, I just shut down LaMelo, and I do think that they should explore moving on from him this offseason and kind of trying a fresh start with a different group. So that's my idea. Matas Buzelis for the Chicago Bulls, my favorite team, will log 2 30-point games. I could see it, if there's a game where the Bulls really get out and run, which is saying something because they really get out and run compared to most teams. I believe they're third or fourth in shot selection in the NBA, which again, it's because they're one of the better transition teams. If nothing else, the Bulls have been entertaining to watch this year because they get up and down the floor quite a bit. Their defense is really bad. But anyway, Buzelis had 4 double-figure scoring games before Christmas, but has gotten 10 more since then. A large part of that is they traded some people, they've moved him up, he plays more minutes now. Levine's departure at the deadline freed up some shots and touches for everybody, mostly Josh Giddey, I would say. Though he hasn't reached a 30-point mark, Buzelis will do so more than once this month. I mean, sure, I could see it. His 3-ball hasn't really figured itself out, but if he hits 2 or 3 threes in a game and the team just is really going up and down, maybe against a not as good team, I could see that because he is pretty good in transition. He's been capitalizing on that. I've said the whole year I'm not the biggest Buzelis guy. I think it was the right guy for the Bulls to pick considering who was on the board. And look, I think it's important for us to remember that this was not a very elite draft class, right? It just wasn't. And I don't know. I don't necessarily see a high level of potential out of him, and that's just me being a realist. I hope you guys know when I say that, I actively root for them to prove me wrong. I genuinely want that. Don't you think I'd love to have Buzelis just be a stud? I just try to keep it real on this channel and how I actually evaluate people. But yeah, no, I could see him getting a couple 30-point games. I'd rather see some development in the ball handling and the creation, maybe see a more consistent 3-pointer, but he's a rookie, so I'm not going to trip about it too much. He's a young guy, and I like the effort he brings. The Cavaliers, this year's single game scoring mark will fall. The Memphis Grizzlies piled up 155 points against the Raptors on December 26th, setting the high mark for the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to take that record down. I could see it. DeAndre Hunter just had a big game for them the other day, and I was just noting on my little spreadsheet for the weekly updates or whatever, I was like, I think the Cavaliers have like 7 dudes that could go off for 20 points at any given night, which is kind of insane, right? I mean, it's insane the depth that this team has. DeAndre Hunter coming to this team for what they gave up just doesn't really seem fair, and it seems like he's kind of starting to figure out his way, fit in a little bit more. Still seems like they might want to bring him off the bench in favor of Strus, because I believe Donovan Mitchell wasn't playing when he had that good game, and so they started him for that instance. But I mean, Hunter's obviously been coming off the bench this whole year for Atlanta, and it's been working for him. So hey, maybe that's just what he does. He just comes in and hoops against second string dudes. So hey, fair enough. Anything else they want to mention in here? Dean Wade, a career high 36.5% 3-point shooter, back from injury. Yeah, always like having Dean Wade back. Why not? Dallas Mavericks, Max Christie will average 20 points a game. Yeah, he's on a mission, ain't he? With all these injuries and everything, and I mean, what has he been averaging since he got here? I mean, I'd honestly be curious to pull that up and see, if nothing else, because Max Christie has been aggressive so far, not just on the defensive end either, just like since he got to Dallas. So since then, 13 points per game. Feels like it should be a lot higher, but shooting at 44% from 3, that's pretty nuts. How many free throws are we getting? That's where we could increase it a little bit. We got to get the free throw numbers up, because how many minutes we're playing? We're playing 32, yeah, and we're only getting 2.3 free throw attempts right now. Yeah, that's where we could start to pick things up a little bit. But we're saying he's going to average 20 points a game. I could see it. I could totally see it. The 22-year-old averaged 14.7 points here. Okay, I could have just read that instead. I never just read the article, what they say. But, you know, Anthony Davis isn't playing either, so yeah, that's going to give more shots for him. No, yeah, I could see it. It's been cool to watch the jump of Max Christie, because we started to see it, like, right before the Lakers traded him. Mostly on the defensive end. He wasn't doing a ton offensively, but JJ Redick, you could tell, was kind of pulling things out of him, and it seems like once he got traded after that, he was maybe a little pissed off, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go do my thing. There's a lot of guys at his position in Dallas, and he's still making himself stand out. So a lot of winning plays out of him so far, and we're happy to see it. Jokic will post a 20-20 and 20 line. Sure. Why not? Why not? I mean, sure. What else do you want me to say, man? It's Jokic. He's phenomenal. Everything that he does is phenomenal. I'm not trying to be the guy that just says Jokic has like 0 flaws, but like, pretty damn close to 0. And I think it's funny, because I feel like we look at guys like Shea and Jokic in particular right now, who's just kind of like, those two are just kind of dominating the NBA, right? And again, both of them have their flaws. They are not perfect, but I feel like we use them as the standards to compare a lot of people nowadays. Like, there's so many people that will look at like an Amen Thompson or something, right? Who does so many things at an elite level, and they'll be like, oh, he can't shoot. It's like, okay, not everybody's Jokic. Like, not everybody's Jokic. It's just, I don't know. It's such a weird comparison when people like feel smart by saying things like that. I don't know. That's just the internet, and people love to point things out and feel intelligent for a couple seconds. But yeah, no, Jokic, 20-20 and 20, sure. Play the Bulls and do it. Why not? Let's just do it. Cade Cunningham will have 5 triple-doubles. Yeah, no, that's more than doable for him. Isn't it crazy, like, the stat lines that we're just so used to nowadays? I remember growing up, when a triple-double would happen, that's what you sat at the lunch table and talked about. When someone had 40 points in a game, that's what you sat at the table and talked about. I'd be like, did you guys see KD had 40 points the other night? And now, like, somebody has 40 points every night in the NBA, and it feels like somebody every night has a triple-double. I don't know. I think it's crazy how good people have gotten at basketball. I think it's crazy. If you actually were to ask me and sports psychologists and a lot of other like college and high school level coaches, I haven't talked to a lot of NBA coaches about this quite yet. I've only like had brief conversations about it, but I think, like, comparing my generation to like the generation now playing basketball, there's a consensus that that players are better than ever. Like, players are just getting better, but only the top end. If you look at the average basketball player, people feel like are getting worse, and like the lower part is just worse than ever, right? And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I find that interesting, and that's a slight tangent. But no, how about them Pistons though? They're winning games right now. They're like 6 or 7 games above 500. It's funny, right? What we talked about going into the season, I didn't predict them being this high, but I said, hey, shooters are on the team now. You did the right thing. I still think you messed up the draft a little bit, but you put shooters on the team with Cade, and good things happen, right? It's not that hard. You just had to put NBA players around this dude. Now we see how good he is. So I'm really happy for this Pistons team, and I hope they continue to build on things after this season. Hopefully Jaden Ivey comes back and he's going to be electric next year. Let's hope. The Warriors will finish March ranked 5th in the West. Can we pull up the standings quick? How far away are we? Actually, I'm sure the article is going to tell me. But you know what? I don't got time for that. Where are we at? So we're actually tied for 6 right now. But Jesus, but there's a 5-game jump to get to the Rockets. Wow. Okay, so I've been making the prediction that the Rockets are going to fall off quite a bit. I guess I didn't look at how big of a jump that is, so maybe that's not as realistic. I do think the Rockets are going to continue to kind of see like these numbers fall, like they're just going to be losing more games than they were at the beginning of the season. And obviously the Warriors are kind of cooking right now, and things have been looking great for them. But ooh, that could be a jump. But hey, they're looking great. If you guys watched my video on Monday, if you haven't, go watch it. Golden State's cooking with Jimmy Butler, right? Even if it's not him cooking every night, he's just making things click. You know how I talked about when you put Jimmy Butler on a team, teams just get better. This is it, right? Things just get better when Jimmy Butler's there. So I could see it. I could certainly see it, but I guess they got a long road ahead of them. Butler's presence has had a knock-on effect on the players around him, blah, 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 blah. It's all the Warriors with whom he plays, seems rejuvenated by his confidence and control. Everyone's cutting harder. That's my biggest thing. Like, people are moving on this team. The assists they're getting are crazy. Yeah, Pods is starting to play a lot better, too, because he was having a rough season. So I'm glad to see that. Jonathan Kuminga's reintroduction to the lineup following a long injury layoff could throw a wrench in the works. That's right, Kuminga has been playing up to this point because he doesn't exactly know how to play in a system. So I'm going to be very curious to see what happens with that. But yeah, no, shout out Golden State, man. Houston Rockets, 5 clutch losses are coming. Yeah, again, this is kind of what I'm saying. I think this team overperformed at the beginning of the season. I still, like, this is a fun team. Don't get it wrong. Love Amen Thompson. Love Şengün, right? Love Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, and them dudes, Atari Eason, right? I love these guys. I just think that there's a lot of immaturity on this team still, which isn't a hard thing to imagine, right? And there's still a lot of just holes and shots that don't go to good people in good places at good times, and I do think that it's going to cost them. So I actually think that this is a pretty solid assessment. It says Houston is actually 21-16 in the clutch. They've been in a lot of clutch situations this year, that means. And yeah, I'm starting to think teams are going to start to figure them out a little bit more. So that's just my assessment of things. Jalen Green, man, what do you do with Jalen Green at this point? Do we think that there's going to be a Devin Booker thing involved? I saw some people in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, go join the Discord. Links is always in the description down below. We're talking hoops on there literally all day. I saw some people saying, like, I think Devin Booker's going to go there, and I'm like, so is Jalen Green who you want if you're the Phoenix Suns if you trade Devin Booker? I don't think they should trade Devin Booker, by the way. I think that's silly. But regardless, I think it's interesting to see what's going to happen with his career. Mathurin, a 40 spot is coming. Yeah, no, that could happen at any point. Again, if he hits the 3-point shot enough in a single game, I mean, we all know that he gets to the hoop and he's strong and he's tough. Yeah, that could totally happen. That could totally happen. I feel like it would come in a game where, like, Pascal Siakam is out because they love to get him his touches, and it'd be hard for him to get going with offense like that. So, no, I could see it. I could see it. I don't know what else you want me to say about Mathurin. It says, on a per-minute and per-play basis, the Pacers' gunslinging guard is more and more dangerous when he enters the game midway through the first quarter and finds opposing backups to attack. Yeah, I mean, sure, that's most starter level people. They're better against backups. It's not really much of a deep dive in there. A couple of numbers with Indiana's broader step forward, blah, 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 blah. He'll deliver his first 40-point game in March. That'd be cool. I'd love to see it. The Clippers, LA will slip to the 10th spot in the West. This feels like a very unflattering picture for James Harden for some reason. I'm not here to judge. Your boy's probably got to cut a few as well. Right now, he's going to play some more pickup later today. For those of you also not in the Discord, I sometimes give updates on my... I play in, like, an elite pickup league for, like, former good players that are washed now, if you would. And I was giving my stats out in the Discord last week. I had a rough one on Friday. Went 0 for 5, right? I should pull up the actual stats, but I had like 4 rebounds or something. I had like 11 assists with like 5 turnovers. They weren't great turnovers. So yeah, I was 0 for 5 and 4 of them were from 3. All wide open looks. Rough game. If the Clippers fell to 10, that'd be a lot closer to my prediction that I had at the beginning of the year. I thought this season would go so much differently for the Clippers. I really, really did, and like in a negative way. I thought that they would kind of just try to stay afloat and then try to rebuild. I really thought that's what they were doing, but they just seemed committed to trying to win basketball games. They just lost to the Lakers last night, who had like what felt like none of their players active, and that's probably because it was just like LeBron and Luka that were active, and they still beat them. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with the Clippers. They've got good basketball players on their team that are very experienced, but come playoff time, what's going to happen? I don't know. Los Angeles Lakers, Luka Doncic, Bleacher Report. Y'all gotta fix some things here. Won't consistently look like himself. Yeah, no, that's super easy to say, right? Like, one dude's coming back from injury, trying to get back in shape, right? So that's part of it. That's just health and trying to get back into it things. But this was also just like sprung on this team, right? Trying to fit a superstar into an existing system is hard enough, right? And like JJ Redick, you can tell he's already working on a bunch of things, implementing new things. Cool. If anyone's going to work their ass off and figure out, it's going to be that guy. But it just takes time, right? This whole season, it just doesn't matter, right? They're up to the 2 seed now. At the time of recording this, I'm recording this on Monday, just so that you guys are trying to get ahead on videos because, busy week right now. They're the 2 seed right now. That's awesome, right? Like, they're maximizing Reeves, Hachimura, even Jackson Hayes is starting to look better, and like Luka's having some good performances. It's just it takes time, right? You got Luka this year, that's all that matters, and you spend the offseason trying to figure out how everything works together. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant will go on a tear. You guys remember at the beginning of the season I said Jaren Jackson Jr. is better than Ja Morant, and a bunch of people like kind of hated on me for it. This year, Jaren Jackson Jr. has been the better player. Ja Morant is still amazing, right? Ja Morant is an awesome player. It's just, come on, Jaren's the dude on that team at this point, right? Like, he literally just does everything. But it just does feel like Ja hasn't been as aggressive this season, and I don't exactly know why. Like, he's taking on more of a playmaking role, which is interesting. But, and look, they've got a ton of good players on their team, so maybe that's just what he's trying to do. I guess, you know what's fair? Maybe I just expect Ja to be kind of a little bit reckless, and I should just celebrate that he's maybe not being as reckless, because I look at Jason Tatum and sometimes he accepts the role of like, okay, I've got a bunch of other good players on my team, I'm just going to let them cook if they're cooking. And you know what? That's kind of what Ja is doing. So maybe I should make sure that I keep that equivalent. I think that's a fair thing to say. As the Grizzlies rev up for the playoffs, Morant is going to put together an extended run of elite plays to put at rest any concerns about him. Yeah, no, that's fair. Because yeah, come playoff time, like, you need the stars to be stars, right? You just do. So yeah, no, that's actually an interesting prediction, and I'm glad I took the time to actually think about my view on Morant with that, because that makes a lot of sense, and they've got a lot of talented basketball players on the team. So he's letting his team cook, man. He's letting them cook. Miami Heat, Jaime Jaquez Jr. will get back on track. Yeah, what started out as a very promising rookie year has quickly fallen off in this second year. It's been pretty rough for Jaime, and I will say, like, watching like his rookie stuff back, like, dude was taking a lot of tough shots. It's not like he was getting a ton of separation on things, but really smart basketball play at all times. That's kind of what you were getting out of him. You're not getting like a superb athlete by any means. So I don't know. I think that it's not a surprise to see him kind of hit like a sophomore slump, if you will. This team's kind of been all over the place as well, right? So they've been put through the ringer. But yeah, no, it'd be nice to see him kind of start to get back on track as things go this year. I mean, who else do they kind of have at those positions to play over him? Obviously, Wiggins is injured right now, but he was playing pretty solid for them. I'm just trying to think of who else is really in his way, like maybe like a Jovic or something like that. I know Heat fans love Jovic. Yeah, no, I can't really think of anybody else that's like super in his way positionally. So yeah, why not? Let's see Jaime get back on track. The Milwaukee Bucks, Damian Lillard will have 3 40-point games. Yeah. No, I could totally see that. I mean, he's Damian Lillard. That he could have a 60-point game at any notice or any moment. Him and Giannis have been awesome this year. Going to be what it's going to be, right? So they could score at any point. They're always trying to get them the basketball. Is there anything interesting they're saying here? Kyle Kuzma isn't going to score like he did for the Wizards. I don't know if you were watching most of this year, but it hasn't really been that great to begin with. And the Milwaukee Bucks probably shouldn't want him to. Yeah, probably not. He came over at the deadline, blah, 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 blah. Dame has posted usage rates under 30% in his 2 seasons with the Bucks, but he was regularly north of that number in Portland. Yeah, again, the Portland roster was just not good, like, ever. So, I don't know. Yeah, no, he could put up 40 points at any moment. I'm not going to worry about it. Naz Reid will play his way out of Minnesota. What do you mean by that? Naz Reid is the reigning sixth man of the year and spent most of February removing any doubt that he belongs in the starting lineup. Yep, Timberwolves fans, we know, we've been saying it all year. I'm not a Timberwolves fan, but I'm just saying, I've been speaking to Timberwolves fans saying Naz Reid is the best option of Randall and Gobert. If you had to pick between those three, Naz Reid is the dude, right? He just does a bit of everything for this team. If he keeps this up, the Timberwolves will be both elated and disappointed. Reed's scoring surge since the injury to Randall, blah, 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 blah. He scored at least 22 points in 8 of the 10 games he played as a starter. Not coincidentally, the Wolves posted a positive plus-minus. Yeah, when he's in the game, they can actually play defense and offense, and there's more ball movement, everything else, blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately, the Wolves, Reed is ticketed for unrestricted free agency this summer. But look, I think this is when Bleacher Report writers don't necessarily know how things work. It's kind of hard to leave your team nowadays. The team that has bird rights can offer you more money, and the Wolves traded Cat to have money to sign Reed and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, right? So nobody has cap space to just go and sign Naz Reid. They'd have to do a sign and trade anyway, so I just think Naz would rather just take the money. I think the Timberwolves are probably more concerned of how they get Julius Randle off the roster would be my guess. The Pelicans, Zion will join the 30 and 60 club. What does that mean? Zion, they brought up his weight instantly because, fair enough, because conditioning and commitment have always been a bigger question, blah, blah, it's oversimplified way to judge, but he's going to average at least 30 points per game while having a true shooting percentage of north of 60. Yeah, no, that's totally plausible for this guy. As always, we say, yes, Zion, questionable motives off the basketball court. When he's on the basketball court, he is a top 10 player in the NBA. He just is. He is pretty much unstoppable when he wants to do things. His skill set is beyond just dunking. It's passing, it's ball handling, it's cutting, it's everything, right? Defensively, he's awesome. Offensively, even better. So, yeah, Zion's awesome. Sure, he could do that. I know there was the one statistic, like his rookie year or whatever, where he had a true shooting percentage of like 65 or 66, something crazy at one point, and his like field goal percentage was above 50, but when he misses shots, there was a stat that he grabs the offensive rebound like 60% of the times, and when he grabs the offensive rebound, his field goal percentage is like 82 or something. So dude just wasn't missing. That's what he's capable of. So Zion's awesome. Knicks will finish closer to the 2 than the 4 in the East. Well, let's take a look at that. Yeah, no, that's pretty easy to do considering the Bucks are 5.5 games behind you, and the Knicks are playing well right now. Mitchell Robinson just came back. He played very limited minutes, but if we can get Mitchell Robinson into shape, well, at least we got 2.5 maybe solid bench players for the Knicks to go to. I'm thinking obviously Deuce McBride, Mitch Robb, and then maybe Shamet. Is that who we're thinking next? Is it maybe Shamet? At least you got a shooter in then. So yeah, I guess like Knicks are good, man, though. Knicks are good. It's just come playoff time. Are they going to break down? Are they going to get hurt? I guess we'll see. Knock on wood. I want people to stay healthy. I really do. The Thunder will force 30 turnovers in a game. Yeah, we've talked about this a lot on the channel, how so many of their guys average like above a steal a game. It's absolutely insane how good everybody defensively is on this team. And I think you have to go 8 or 9 guys deep on the depth chart to find someone that isn't like getting like a shit ton of steals in a game. So I could totally see this. And like the 30 turnovers doesn't have to be steals, right? It could be a ton of other things. Just defensive instincts and versatility of this team. They play the passing lanes so crazy well. Like they are in at everything, jabbing and shooting at everything. So I would not be surprised at all. Especially you play a team like, Wizards or something like that, or I don't know, like the Hornets. Yeah, I could see something like that happen. Orlando Magic. Orlando will tie the season low in made threes. Like, for a month, the current season low total in made threes by any team is 3. Oh, in a game. The Orlando Magic have what it takes to match that mark in March. I don't want to sit here and rip on Orlando too much, just saying it because, there's always new viewers on all of these videos. We've talked about it literally since the summer, where like they needed to add shot creators. They didn't do so. There was plenty of opportunity to do so for next to nothing, and they're paying the price now. The KCP trade didn't make a ton of sense. Franz and Paolo are young, good players. We're going to give them time. It's just unfortunate that the team didn't feel like helping them out a little bit more this year, because I think this was it wasn't a wasted year of development by any means, but I think it could have been better, and I think it could have easily been a decent amount better. So I don't know. It's hard to watch this team at this point because it's just a poorly made roster. The Sixers, only the Wizards will be worse in March. I guess we'll see. I'm actually going. I'm recording this Monday. I'm going to the Timberwolves game on Tuesday where they're playing the Sixers. I was hoping to see Embiid in person. Never seen Embiid in person, but probably not going to see him at this point. Yeah, the Sixers are rough. I hope they shut down Paul George as well. I've seen some people saying, oh, just trade Paul George in the offseason. That's okay. Just think about things for a second. Like, think about things outside of just like 2K and trying to trade people in 2K when they don't play well, right? That's a really good way to get fired as a GM. You just did all this work to go get Paul George and then you immediately trade him. That's a good way to not look very smart and lose your job. So I don't think that's happening. Paul George is a good basketball player. He's been playing hurt this whole season. Just give him time. Don't write him off right now. Just don't write him off. Dude's a pretty good basketball player. Just, this has been a disaster of a season. I don't know. I don't know what happens with Embiid going forward in this team. Maxi's a great player. You've got some other solid players on the team, but yeah, this season is a wash. I just start shutting people down and try to get ready for the offseason and try to have a really good offseason. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And please, like, if you want to start winning some games so my Bulls can fall out of the play-in, that'd be fucking great. The Suns will lose ground in the West. We're looking at the same team, right? The team that's 11th right now and 4 games out of 10. How much more ground is there to lose? I guess the Trailblazers are playing okay right now. Like, how much further down do we want to go? Yeah, no, the Suns situation is a disaster. I think it's a coaching problem. I really do. Like, you just can't convince me that Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal shouldn't win you more basketball games. Tyus Jones is a nice player. Oh, get this. I was watching the film, like, before this. I was watching their game against the Timberwolves, like, the film back. Nick Richards didn't get a single shot off. Mason Plumlee got 2. And I'm not saying those guys need to take a ton of shots, but your centers, when you've got shot makers like Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant here, right? You couldn't get one lob. You couldn't run like one pick and roll or anything. Like, what is going on with this team? It's crazy. Like, it's just these dudes isoing and then like everyone else just standing there. Like, it's insanity to me. It's absolute insanity. So no, this is a coaching problem. I'm not saying you're going to run it back with this team. I just don't think you can even afford to. You probably just do have to trade Durant at this point because you've just invested too much in this team that clearly can't make it work. I'd keep Booker for sure, but no, that whole thing is annoying. Donovan Clingan will set a season high in offensive rebounds, like for himself. Oh no, they're saying for the NBA. No, yeah, Clingan gets rebounds, man. Dude is big as shit. Like, there's big, but I've seen people say, and I think I said it before I saw other people say it. I'm like, he's like the biggest 7'1" dude I've ever seen in my life. Like, he is just a massive person. We have said, dude needs to get in a little better shape, right? Needs to drop a little bit of weight, but his instincts are awesome, man. I'm glad that I had him like 3rd on my big board for this season. I was like, look, this guy's a starter in the NBA, I promise. He looks the part. Once we get him in better shape, this guy's going to be a really nice player for the Blazers going forward. Let's just hope the Blazers can actually make some good roster moves in the offseason and prioritize guys like Denny, who look awesome right now, right? Let's get Scoot Henderson actually on the court playing with these dudes a little bit more, right? Let's figure out if Shaedon Sharp's actually going to be something, right? Tamani Kamara is awesome. I love Kamara. I'm not saying he's going to be like an all-star, but like that's a nice player to have on your team. So let's just get the guys that we're curious about on the court and let it fly because yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Clingan gets a shit ton of rebounds, doesn't take a ton of shots. I could see this. I could totally see this. The Sacramento Kings. Somebody important is getting benched. Who? Who would that be? Who would that be? Blah, 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 blah. De'Aaron Fox is now Zach LaVine. Yep, Zach LaVine's been awesome for them so far. He gets a lot of buckets. Malik Monk is a fine initiator for backups, but he's not a true point guard. Very true. Keegan Murray is the only plausible defender in the bench, and Sacramento has yet to figure out how to make the LaVine-DeMar DeRozan duo function. I mean, we saw that it didn't quite function for like 3 years. So yeah, no, I don't know. Like, so who are we saying we're gonna start though? I don't understand. Like, who are we saying we're gonna start? That's my thing. Like, sure, maybe you bench somebody, but for who? Like, I'm not benching Monk. I don't want to bench like Keon starts, right? I'm pretty sure Keon starts. Like, I'm not benching Keon. He's too good of a shooter and a defender. So like, I would love to see Keegan Murray develop. You guys know I'm big on his skill set, but I don't know. I think this team's just going to roll it out and figure out something at the end of the season. Stephon Castle will lead the team in usage. I don't know about that, because Chris Paul still has the ball a lot in the game, and I don't think you're going to take the ball out of De'Aaron Fox's hands that much. I don't know if it's good for Castle to do it that much either. I'd be more concerned about him being an off-ball cutter and things like that. I think that's really important for his development. And mind you, he is better at that than with the basketball right now, right? He just is. We're seeing the development in the latter side of things, but I'd rather him just kind of keep focusing on the off-ball stuff this year. We got plenty of time to have the basketball once Chris Paul is gone or whatever, right? Which maybe he's gone after this season. Maybe they decide to bring him back in another vet role. I would have to assume Chris Paul would want to go to more of a contender, though, next year. So that's just my thought. But Stephon Castle's been awesome. Like, are there flaws in his game? Sure. There certainly are, but we don't need to talk about him at this point. Let's just enjoy it. Toronto Raptors, they'll finish March in a play-in position. Please take it away from the Bulls. I can't at this point. But they just lost to the Bulls. So, like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I hate you, Toronto. I just do. Like, be better. I feel like Scotty Barnes has taken kind of a step back this year. I don't know. I get that the roster's been such a flux, and the bench is just kind of bad at this point. I don't know. There's nothing I'm seeing out of Scotty Barnes right now that gets me, like, super excited for him long term. And, like, I keep forgetting Brandon Ingram's even on this team as well. Like, I can't imagine he's suiting up at this point this year. I'm not sure where this team's going, right? I'm very, very curious to see where it's going. Like, I don't think they're in a bad spot by any means. Like, if they go and get a stud this offseason in the draft, I think things could be really interesting. But as of right now, not too keen on this team going any further. Kyle Filipowski will rank second on the team in made threes. Who else could it be? It's not going to be Collier. It's certainly not going to be Cody Williams. Like, Markkanen probably number one. It won't be Walker Kessler. Is John Collins hurt right now? Because he wasn't in, like, the past 2 games or something like that. Keontae George could go off at any moment, so it could be him. Sexton really hasn't been playing, so yeah, it could be. They're certainly throwing him and Collier out there for enough minutes at this point, because everything that I said about the Brooklyn Nets kind of copy and pasted for the Utah Jazz, right? I think this is a team that are doing things really well. I have a lot of connections at the Utah Jazz, and I will say that I have a very good idea of what their plan is at this point, a pretty crystal clear idea of things, and it makes a lot of sense to me, right? I think they've held onto their assets really, really well. I think they're ready to go into this off season to make moves as needed, is what I will say, and I think they're very dead set on, like, look, everything starts this season, right? They've been kind of staying afloat as of right now. They've been kind of patiently waiting for their opportunity to strike. Look, the Utah Jazz, they're just one of the better organizations, right? They never stay down for very long, and they're thinking, we're going to get our franchise guy this year in the draft. Hopefully it's Cooper Flagg, but if not, they'll get one of the other studs, and they'll be happy about that. But as soon as that guy gets there, he's going to have a nice array of players around him, to where even if those guys aren't around, because let's be honest, they won't be, right? Is a Lauri Markkanen going to be a key player by the time that Cooper Flagg is ready to lead someone to a championship? Probably not, but they're going to get to learn a lot from them, and they're going to have support around them right away so they can build their skills and build themselves the right way. We already know the culture is well established here, so I'm excited for this group. Wizards, it'll be a 5-win month. This is a funny picture. Shout out Bilal, man. As the rest of the league, cellar dwellers pivot more aggressively into full tank mode, the Wizards will stick to business as usual. Yeah, this team should try to win some games for the sake of the young guys, right? And in all fairness, like, the team is better after the deadline. You got the Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton on the team. You got rid of Kuzma. You just are going to be a better basketball team because you've got more, like, standard NBA players on the team. It's like the Pistons when they added the Malik Beasleys, the Tobias Harris, right? Even Fontecchio from, like, midway through the season. Like, okay, yeah, you put solid players on the team, you have a better chance at winning basketball games. So sure, why not? I don't know what their schedule looks like or anything, but why not? Like, it's not, this team is so bad, it doesn't matter if they win a couple more games, you know? So 15-45 here. Yeah, no, if they're fine. They can win some basketball games and still have the best odds. And I mean, don't the top 3 teams all get the same odds anyway? So yeah, who gives a shit? Who cares at all? But yeah, those are bold predictions for March as of right now, y'all. I find it interesting at this point of the season, kind of what the storylines are gonna be. This is the time of 10-day contracts. See if there's any studs that stick out to us at this point. But anyway, stay tuned for the comment to the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment to the video is coming from our latest mock draft video, which is performing pretty well, and it's a simple comment. It's from James Trussoni 8808. He said, "Glad I found your channel. Subbed. Nice, easy, simple. Thank you very much. I'm glad to have you here." Just a nice, simple comment, sharing some nice, kind words, boosting the algorithm like a good viewer does. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I respond to every single comment on my YouTube channel, and I will keep on doing so. If you comment, maybe you'll be the comment of the video. But also, there's a lot of people wanting me to do more videos on the breakdowns. I'm glad that these are doing well. Please go watch them. They're my favorite videos on the channel. I think they're a lot of fun. We crack a lot of jokes in there, make fun of a lot of college basketball nonsense that we see, but we also give very educated breakdowns on a lot of our players. At the time of seeing this, you guys should see that I have another one up of Jace Richardson, so go give that a watch. And I've still got to figure out who I'm doing for Friday's video. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching as always, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much.